let's talk about cockroaches. So, I will be the first to admit I am not a fan of cockroaches. I do not like them. They're one of the few things that I would say that I have an actual fear of. I dislike them quite a lot. Now, I like bugs. Most bugs I am at the very least neutral on. There's some that I don't particularly like. I'm not a big fan of the leaf-footed stink bugs either, but they don't creep me out in the same way that cockroaches do. I don't know what it is about them, they're just not my cup of tea. However, perhaps ironically, the one type of cockroach I do actively like the Madagascar hissing cockroaches, which are some of the largest cockroach species. So I like those ones. I don't know why, I just think they're neat. These, on the other hand, this ain't it. And while I do not like cockroaches, I do respect them biologically. They are some of the best organisms at surviving, and there's actually this quote that I really like from one of my favorite book series. So from Maggie Stiefvater's The Raven Cycle, one of my favorite book series ever, but Secrets and Cockroaches, that's all what will be left at the end of it all, and I think that's valid. So they do have some pretty neat survival capabilities. For example, they have been recorded in scientific studies to be able to survive between 4 and 50 days with no food and water at all, which is very impressive. They can also run up to 3 miles per hour, which is very impressive for a bug. There's also studies that show they can maintain that speed, or very close to that speed, missing multiple legs. I think it showed that they are not significantly slowed down until they are missing 3 or more of their legs, which is insane. They can also regrow legs occasionally, and they make their own antibiotics, which, why not? And while being associated with dumps and garbage and sewage and rubbish and all that, they're actually surprisingly clean. They do groom themselves quite often, so they really aren't that dirty. Despite living in kind of gross areas, roaches have also been recorded living up to weeks without a head decapitated. That is because they have 2 brains, one of which is in their head and one of which is in their abdomen, so the back part, and they can keep living until they end up eventually dying from starvation or lack of water because they no longer have mouthpieces. It is also extremely difficult to be able to kill a roach by squishing it. Due to the exoskeleton, it's super hard, and they can also compress themselves almost flat. They can withstand up to I think it's 300 to 900 times their own body weight worth in pressure. So it is very hard to kill a roach by just squishing it. They get into lots of places very, very easily because they can compress themselves so thin, they can fit into almost anywhere. So common roaches are usually about, I heard, 12 millimeters tall, but can compress themselves down to 3 millimeters tall, which is 2 pennies stacked on top of each other. They can make themselves 4 times as thin as they usually are, which helps with not being squished and getting into small places. So yeah, while I do not particularly like cockroaches, I do respect them. They can just stay away from me.